Hi, this is Roy from Norse Effects. Welcome back to the channel. This week I got some really good analysis, but I also have some good talking points. What I consider very important in trading, and that is a good defense. Because in trading, if you compare it to football, it doesn't matter if you have the best attacking line in the world. So if you have Ronaldo, Messi, Suarez, if your defense is a bunch of kindergarten kids, you will end up on the streets. It's just that will happen. It's inevitable. But people always say that learning how to trade is very easy and everybody can do it. Well, I agree to that at least to some point. But learning how to trade is like learning how to ride a bike, except that the bike is on fire, the ground is on fire, everything is on fire because you're in hell, at least until you learn how to play defense. And the only way to play defense in trading is to use stop losses and good or sound risk management. So having a standardized approach, so every time you take a loss, you always lose the same amount of percentage of the account. At least that is what I'm doing. And then every time I win X amount of percentage. And that is the only thing in my trading that is dynamic. And what I mean by dynamic is that sometimes I can win or I can make 2% on a trade, or I can make 50%. That number is dynamic, so it always moves according to the trading plan and how the market sets up. But the only thing that does not change unless I make a mistake is my risk, so my good defense. And learning how to take a loss is very important. I remember when I started out trading, so taking the loss itself, admitting I was wrong, that was extremely painful to me. So I had a tendency to move stops or just remove the stop all by itself because I thought it would come back to me. But being in a bad trade is nothing else. It's similar to being in a bad relationship. So if your spouse is cheating and you always keep on taking back the spouse, that is like being in a bad trade and removing the stop loss or even adding to the trade itself. So what I always do with bad trades, cut them immediately. So back to the analysis. Last week, I had a very good trade plan on Euro CHF. I had been waiting for that trade for like days and weeks, and I was really eager to get back into it. I got my trigger, and then the market just annihilated me. And what I mean by annihilated me is that, well, price had a short squeeze, and it moved like, I think it's 100 pips. Yeah, 100 pips. So my stop loss was at 60 pips on this trade. So I got taken out on Wednesday, I believe. So I had one day, and this trade, it went almost immediately into drawdown, and it just kept on going and just took out my defensive line and scored a goal against me. That by itself, I don't mind because my risk to reward ratio on average is good. So this alone is not enough to kill me. But if I now start to change things up, so if I like, well, let's add to this trade. Let's make this bad trade into a good trade. Well, if I have added to this trade, this bad trade would have been a horrible trade. And so it keeps on going. So trading is not about creating problems for yourself, but it's the opposite way around. So when something goes the other way, accept it, move on. And I also had a trade on Brent. This one was also spectacular, but let's see here. Let's go to 1 hour time frame. The 1 hour is my trading time frame of choice. And I had been short from a week or two ago. Then I had another one right here. This candle right here on the daily chart, this is a shooting star candle, so exhaustion candle or indecisive candlestick. So I shorted the break down here and I added right here. So I have a trend following strategy as well. And this one has been stopped for break even. And you can see here, my stop is below this high. I have no faith at all that Brent will roll over without clipping my stop. And that will mean another 1% loss on the account. So right now, I don't think there's a snowball chance in hell that Brent will roll back over without taking me out. So I'm curious to see how this plays out going into next week. I really don't have another trade plan for Brent right now. I will, however, re-enter the position if I get a good setup at this at the 66.13 level. And now let's get to the third one that I had last week. I was waiting for the dollar against the Canadian dollar, so dollar CAD, and price reacted very well to this resistance line right here. It had 4 days of consolidation, and on the fourth day, that was my trigger. It set up on the lower time frame, so I'm now short on this, already 1% in the green. So if dollar CAD goes to target 1, that will cover both the Euro CHF, Brent, and give me another cushion. So you have seen this in my previous videos. Risk to reward is so extremely important that I can't emphasize that enough, because myself, I don't win on every trade. I win on half of every trade on average. In the longer term picture, around 50% of all my trades are losers. So if I lose more than I win on every trade, that will be the end of me. But so I had to, when I came up with my strategies, I also had to come up with, or not come up with, I had to utilize a good risk to reward ratio, because or else I would not see any type of growth at all. But the deviation for the last, I would say, 8 months is that the winners have been very big compared to my losses. And before the summer of 2017, that was not the case. I had like a 1-to-2 risk to reward ratio, but now it's closer to 1-to-4. So I don't know what have happened, but I'm trying to figure it out. So I just think it's natural development, to be honest. I have now been in the market for 4 years. So it's basically progression, at least that is what I believe. So back to the analysis itself, I have your dollar CAD set up very nice. And for technical targets, I'm looking for 126.15 as a target that I would like to take profit on if price looks to be retracing from that level. Just like on every trade I have multiple areas that I'm looking to get out if the market tells me to exit. But ideally, I would like to see 122, because we never know how far the market can go. So I really don't like to use take profit. I close manually just in case the market just goes on a tear, because I really want to be on that side of the market when something parabolic happens, just staying with the trend. And let's see, I have also had the exact same setup on Euro GBP, and this one set up on Thursday. Today it's Sunday, and Thursday was the 8th of March, so the Women's Day here in Norway. Not sure if that is the same in the UK and the US and the rest of the world, but at least in Norway that was Women's Day. And it seems to be a very good day to trade, since the market was very kind, and the setup is the best performing setup that I trade myself. That is the turtle soup we had a previous high up here, and there in the market there's always a ton of orders above previous highs and lows, and the banks always try to run the market up there because it's easier for them to fill their orders up there, or fill the client orders, because the banks are paid by the client to fill their orders. So that is why the market tends to seek out levels like this, and that allowed me to utilize it and take advantage of it, and I'm still doing it. And I had a trade on Euro GBP up here, and I went for 86.91. I didn't get that target back then, and I didn't get the best risk to reward, so 1 to 2, 1 to 3, or something like that. Now I'm gunning for the same target, but I will also look to exit market if we get some sort of reaction from the 87.70 level. So I don't know how far the market will go. I just know that I want to be in this trade and see how it progresses, since all I can control in the market is my risk. I can't control how far the market will go, so I just want to be in there to get the opportunity to get the insane trade. And every trade starts out the same way. Euro CHF, beautiful setup when it's set up, turned out to be a statistical loser. This one started out exactly the same. The setup is slightly different, but a trade is a trade. Now let's see how far this can go. Similar, I had a trade on Euro AUD setup, same setup there as well. I'm going for a hairy target and S&P 500. If you are a follower on Instagram, you can go back and see I shared this chart a few weeks ago. When the S&P was correcting, we broke and closed. Yeah, we closed below a parabolic trend line, and then we had the short squeeze, and now we're retested the parabolic trend line. That was my trigger to go long, and I just want to see if the market has enough juice to go above 28.75, and if it had room to go to the upside, because a move like this gets the whole world bearish, and right now it looks like the whole world is wrong, or at least the bears. So I would like to see if we can get a good short squeeze going on here. That would be a great trade going to Easter. I think that is it. I have 7 positions on right now, so in terms of management, this is the hardest part of being a swing trader when you're trading multiple markets. Or I'm trading the same market. I trade Forex and commodities, but right now my book is full, so there's a lot going on inside of my head. And yeah, I think the last one is dollar yen. That is basically the same trade as the S&P 500, because if the dollar yen goes up, it's normally correlated very well to the S&P. So we had a very nice trade or setup back here on a trend line. So a very good turtle soup setup. You can see it here. That is always my trigger. So I really hope this video enlightened some of you, because when I started out, I remember how hard it was. But the best tip I can give to all of you is to use the biggest leverage of all, and that is time and risk management. Because if you use good risk management on every trade you take, and you just take your time and remember the quote that this is a marathon, not a sprint, and you will make it. Because right now I'm 4 years in, and I would not have been able to survive 4 years in the market if I haven't used a good risk management profile from the get-go. Or everybody loses at the beginning, but if you use good risk management, you are able to push through that and just prosper and go forward. So I would advise anybody to just use good, sound risk management and just take care of your account like it's your own baby. So that is all I have for this week. So I'm short on Euro GBP, Euro AUD, dollar CAD and long on the S&P and dollar yen. So I'm looking to see going into next week how all of those trades work out. So until next time, I wish you good luck and I will see you soon. Goodbye.